We begin with our hero introducing himself to us by stating his name as Jin Woo-sung. He seems to be in a lot of trouble as he tries to catch his breath from a tough battle. His sword can be seen on the ground, and he tells us that he is an E-rank fighter. It turns out that he is the weakest boy in the Association of Monster Hunters, and he has found himself quite the situation. It doesn't help that he is the lowest tier of the association, and we can see that he is having a hard time dealing with the giant monsters that are coming right at him. Jin Woo doesn't know how to get out of this one, and he never even imagined something like this even happening to him. Now the monster raises its weapon and is about to end it all for our hero, so he prepares himself to meet his maker. We hear a stab, but we don't get any closure just yet, and move to Seoul in South Korea. Now we meet our hero Jin Woo in a more peaceful setting as he tells us once again that even though he has a better build than most people and can also recover faster than the average rate, he is still an E-rank hunter. As a matter of fact, he actually feels ashamed to even call himself a hunter. It turns out that he always has to deal with injuries and has almost met his maker on more than one occasion. He has to risk his life as a hunter, which is not ideal for him as he does not wish to have this as his job. Now we move to a construction site in Seoul and learn that Jin Woo needs money through his hunter job. This also allows him to pay for his sick mom's hospital bills, and it's the only reason he's still doing this job. After all, it's not like he can go anywhere else because he does not have the skill sets for any regular job. He has only graduated from high school, so hunting is all that he can do for now. It's time to move to another character named Kim, who gets himself some coffee before he heads out for a raid. Suddenly, he is greeted by a man named Park, who seems to know him from a while back. Kim wants to know what Park is doing here, and learns that his buddy's wife is having a second child, so he needs to put in the work to get paid. Kim had thought that Park was done with this kind of life, but money makes people do mysterious things. The men talk about how life is as a person who conducts raids, and Park says that it's been a while since he's been in one. As Park laments his own skill sets, Kim notices people greeting Jin Woo as he seems to be a popular boy. He also decides to greet out Hero and asks him if he's had anything to eat, just like a good uncle would. Park is a bit surprised to see how famous Jin Woo is, so he asks Kim about our hero. Judging from the way Jin Woo looks, Park assumes that he is some kind of overpowered fighter. However, Kim then explains to him that Jin Woo is actually the weakest hunter in all of mankind. As a matter of fact, this is the nickname that has been given to him as well, so Park is a bit confused. He has never heard of this, because only S-rank heroes get nicknames. Kim confirms the statement by explaining how Jin Woo gets injured even when he goes to the E-rank gates. Park fails to understand how a hunter can be so weak, but Kim tells him to be happy. Basically, if Jin Woo has been put on a mission, then it means that the enemy will not be much of a threat. Kim obviously doesn't want our hero to hear this, so he asks Kim to move a little away from Jin Woo, but it's too late because he has already overheard the insults. Now Jin Woo goes to get some coffee, but just as his luck would have it, the supply has just run out. This only makes his day worse, so the coffee boy says sorry, but it's not like there's anything that he can do about it. Now a cute girl calls out to our hero, and she is shocked to see that he has a bandage on his face once again. Her name is revealed to be Ju-hee, and she is also a part of this raid. Jin Woo is glad to hear that, but Ju-hee wants to know how he got hurt once again. He can only say that it somehow came to this, and awkwardly laughs as well. However, it turns out that he actually needed to be taken to the hospital, and Ju-hee does not like the sound of that. He then states that it was only an E-rank dungeon, but he was the only one who got hurt out of all the other hunters. Ju-hee can't believe that such a thing can even happen, because usually hunters always take a healer with them. Jin Woo explains that the others were really confident in their abilities, so they did not feel the need to bring a healer with them. This is why he had no one to treat his injuries, which led to him being sent to a hospital. Ju-hee is furious because it was very reckless of the other hunters not to take a healer with them. But Jin Woo says that it's okay for him to get injured because he's very weak. After all, he's used to being thrashed and wounded all the time. Joo-hee wants to offer her support, but it's of no use because there's no helping our hero. Anyway, it's time to set out for the raid, so Jin Woo tells Joo-hee to get ready for it. Now, we see the hunters together, and an odd man starts talking to everyone about how they must be looking forward to have some fun here. He then suggests that he should be made the leader of the party, because he wants everyone to hit the jackpot. Both Kim and Park reveal that this man's name is Song, and he seems to have the highest rank out of everyone in this group. It's not just them, as all the other hunters also agree with this decision. Jin Woo and Joo-hee don't have a problem with it either, so Song leads the team into the E-rank gate. Kim tells Jin Woo to stay behind everyone so that he doesn't get hurt, and all he can do is nod in awkward agreement. With that, our hero steps into the gate and promises to do the best he can in this raid. As all the hunters step into the gate, we can see the coffee boy from earlier who is feeling bad about not being able to give Jin Woo his cup of coffee. His co-worker shows up, but upon learning why the coffee boy is sad, he simply asks what tier the dungeon is this time, because Jin Woo has the reputation of being the weakest hunter. The coffee boy says that it's D rank this time, and he also comments that he has never once seen Jin Woo coming out of a dungeon without any injuries. This could be why he's feeling bad, because a boy like our hero needs something to cheer him up every once in a while. It's a D-ranked dungeon after all, so nothing bad should really be happening here. Now we move to a scene where we see someone asking Jin Woo why he wants to become a hunter. If he keeps going at this rate, then he is surely going to find himself a lot of trouble. This person is none other than Joo-hee, who happens to be a healer. She is taking care of our hero who has gotten injured yet again, and all he can say is sorry. Joo-hee does not want an apology from him, because she is simply worried about his health. As she takes care of Jin Woo, we can see all the other hunters fighting the monsters with their skills, and they seem to be doing a good job. It's an epic scene where everyone is unleashing all their powers, and the raid is about to be over soon. Joo-hee says that it's a huge relief for her, because the danger for Jin Woo will soon disappear. There are clearly some feelings between her and our hero, but Jin Woo looks away. We now see the other hunters who say that the job is almost done, and this should be a piece of cake moving forward. Even Kim states that Park has still got it, but Jin Woo can only watch on as a useless fighter. Joo-hee now asks him if there is a reason for him to continue being a hunter, because it does not make sense for him to keep getting hurt again and again. He tells her that he is doing this as a hobby, otherwise he would be bored to death if he'd only stay at home doing nothing. Of course, the truth is a whole other story, but he does not want to tell Joo-hee about this because it would be a bit embarrassing for him. She gets mad upon hearing his reasons and says that he will end up doing raids in the afterlife as well if he keeps it up. Jin Woo wants to laugh, but Joo-hee tells him to shut up, otherwise his wounds will open up again. Now, Song explains to us that when a beast is beaten, the person who beats it gets an essence stone. If one were to defeat a C-rank beast, then the essence stone it leaves behind would be worth around 10 million won or $8,000. Of course, it's not like our hero would be able to win such an amount, because there's no way he'll be able to fight a C-rank magic beast. Instead, he gets an E-rank essence stone, and he can't believe that his reward is so small for getting heavily injured each and every time he has to fight a beast. It's a rather pitiful reward for putting his life on the line during all of his raids. At this rate, it will take him forever to reach his goals, but then a hunter from the team finds another entrance. Everyone is amazed by this, and even Song says that double dungeons are supposed to be a myth. That isn't the case over here, so Song decides to use a fireball attack to judge if the coast is clear for them to enter the dungeon. The fireball moves for a decent distance without any disturbance, but then it suddenly seems to hit something. Song asks everyone in the team to be careful, because the gate will not close until they defeat the dungeon's boss. Since the gate is still open, even after beating the earlier monsters, it looks like the dungeon's boss is waiting for them inside the second entrance. Usually, a team is supposed to report this to the association and then wait for a decision. But in this case, Song fears that other hunters might get to the boss and defeat it. If that were to happen, then they will get all the profits of the raid and their own rewards will decrease by a lot. This is why Song wants them to go ahead and get the job done without having to ask for approval. This could be dangerous, so it would make sense for all 17 members of the party to have a vote on it. But if a decision is made, no one will be allowed to oppose it, so the hunters think before they speak. Some say yes and some say no, one of whom happens to be Ju-hee. As of now, the vote stands at 8 who want to fight the boss and 8 who don't want to go any further. The only one left to make his vote is Jin-woo, so it's all up to him. He knows that he has no savings left, and he also needs to send his sister to college soon, which only makes his current situation with his mom in hospital a lot worse. He needs to do this for his family, so Jin-woo says that he will go into the double dungeon. He has to be brave even if it's this one time, because he won't get another chance. The team now sets foot into the new entrance, but they have been walking for a while now, so they're in too deep. As a matter of fact, they have been walking for a whole 40 minutes and still haven't found their target. We learned that the gate usually closes 1 hour after beating the boss, so the team has about 20 minutes of buffer time to escape once they complete their task. In the middle of this, Jin-woo says sorry to Ju-hee, but she doesn't get why he's saying this to her. He says that it was because of his vote that she is forced to go into this double dungeon, even though she was one of the hunters who was not cool with it. Ju-hee doesn't seem too concerned by this and asks our hero not to worry about her. He asks her if she is sure, but the look on Ju-hee's face doesn't look too pleasant. Now she activates demon mode and tells him that she is indeed not okay at all. She then scolds Jin-woo because he had just about avoided getting stabbed in the heart. Add the fact that his arms and legs were also in bad condition, so Ju-hee was just about able to heal him, even though her powers are only for healing. She thinks of our hero as a totally reckless person, because it makes no sense for him to make such a vote when he is the one who's most at risk. He says sorry once again and remembers that the only reason he is here right now is because Ju-hee is a B-rank healer. Keeping this in mind, he really does owe her a lot. But the healer girl is still in demon mode. After one last shout, Ju-hee comes to her senses and realizes that she's been a bit too hard on Jin-woo. She figures she needs to lighten the mood a bit, so she asks him to treat her to a meal if he actually feels bad about dragging her into this mission. Jin-woo is shocked to hear this, and he even blushes because it looks like he has a crush on Ju-hee. Since he doesn't answer, Ju-hee asks him if he doesn't want to eat with a girl like her, but he reassures the healer girl that this is not the case. Before they can set up their date, the other hunters find the boss's lair and alert the team about it. However, the room seems to have a massive door, which is something that none of the hunters have ever come across. Jin-woo says that even though it's a first for him, it seems a bit odd for such an entrance to be there for one boss. Kim and Park seem to sense danger, so they let their thoughts known to the others. However, Song asks them if they want to go back with empty pockets after having made it so far. He then states that this team may have come across an exciting new discovery. This could change the way hunters beat monsters, so Song is most definitely going in, although he does offer the others a chance to leave. The other hunters talk about this situation, and they decide to go with Song because he has a lot of raids to his credit. On top of that, he is a very aggressive hunter who has made his way into the higher sections of C rank. As a matter of fact, he could have been in a big guild if he was younger. It's still hard to believe that Song is 60 years old, but the hunters are willing to place their faith in him if they have already come this far. Now Song opens the doors, which turns out to be a lot easier than he had thought it would be. The team decides to go in, and then the blue flames from the room's torches suddenly light up the space. What lies in front of them is a giant room with all kinds of statues. It's actually a very nice view, which is quite rare for a dungeon. But there is no time to waste, so Song tells his team to split up and look for the boss as soon as possible. From the looks of it, No one has been here in a long time, and the stone statues look a bit spooky. Each one of these statues seems to be holding something different, whether it's an instrument or a weapon. Jinwoo finds it scary that there are so many of these statues over here, and he also feels as if someone is watching the team. His fellow hunters tell him to spook them out, and they continue looking for the boss. Now they find a super huge statue and wonder if it could be the dungeon boss. The general consensus is no, but Jinwoo can't get the size of this statue out of his head. Song comments that he can't spot even a single magic beast, and neither can the others, so this is an odd situation. Suddenly, Song notices something under his feet, and it happens to be a divination circle. Then he is called to take a look at some written text on one of the statues. It looks like some kind of inscription of the ruins, so Song decides to translate it. Basically, the text means these inscriptions are the commandments of the Kartanen Temple, which might be this space. The inscriptions have odd rules, such as the need to worship and praise God. Jinwoo tries to figure what's going on here, but then Ju-hee grabs him and brings his attention to the massive statue he had seen earlier. As we learn that the third rule is to prove one's faith, Ju-hee says that the statue's eyes were moving just now. Of course, the other hunters refuse to believe this, but then Jinwoo gets an odd feeling. Things become a bit too quiet, which definitely means that something is off. Song concludes his translation by saying that whoever refuses to comply with these rules shall not be spared. Now all of a sudden, there's a loud slam behind the team, so they all turn around to see that the doors have shut instantly. The hunters start to panic now that the doors have been closed, and it leads to further confusion when the hunters who had voted against this task start blaming Song, and the ones who had voted in favor of entering the double dungeon. One of the hunters in particular starts ranting about how this was the wrong decision. He decides to leave because he's had enough, and he doesn't care who gets what kind of bounty or reward. He goes to open the door handle, but that's when Song realizes what's going on, so he urges the grumpy hunter not to touch the door. It's too late though, and the grumpy hunter meets a rather brutal end when he gets slashed down by one of the statues in the room. It looks like the statue has come to life, and we can gauge how deadly it is just from seeing the size. The statue lands his weapon on the ground, and the hunter team begins to panic upon realizing that the statue has become alive. Shock and horror takes over the entire camp, because these hunters are clearly not equipped to take on beasts as deadly as these. Ju-hee holds on to Jinwoo for protection, but our hero has other things to worry about. He remembers what the healer girl had said about the giant statue's eyes moving, so he looks behind in fear and notices that even this statue has awakened. It looks at our hero with deadly eyes, so Jinwoo starts to break a sweat. He tries to be calm about the whole thing, so he asks for the rank of the grumpy hunter who just lost his life. He learns that he was a D rank, which means that he was stronger than our hero. There's also the fact that he was taken down in just one blow, which confuses Jinwoo because this is supposed to be a D-rank dungeon. For such a place to be filled with these kinds of monsters is unheard of, so something is definitely suspicious about the whole thing. Song says that the statues have started moving already, which means that the main statue is still left to rise. However, as Jinwoo has just seen, the boss is ready to fight as his eyes glow with malicious intent. Of course, this isn't the first time Jinwoo has been caught in a life or death situation. He recalls his first raid where he got lost after getting separated from his team. He was also sent to the hospital for weeks after a petty E-rank beast attacked him from behind. If this wasn't bad enough, Jinwoo almost starved till his end once when he got lost inside a labyrinth. All these events had happened in low-tier dungeons, but Hero had to put his life on the line every single time. Now, we learn that when hunters earn essence stones, they usually sell them for money in order to buy new weapons. These weapons, in turn, help their new masters in defeating multiple monsters and also making higher profits. Jinwoo laments that he will never be able to do that due to his weak body, and he wonders what's going to happen to his mom, who is still in a delicate situation. This was what led him to not spend money on weapons. but rather save the money and just get healed after the damage is done each time. He then recalls how people would mock him and his skills because he'd only end up increasing the load for whichever healer would go with him. Thoughts about getting bullied in the past surface to his mind again, and he also lives through all the hassles he had to face as a hunter. This is a very detailed memory, but he manages to snap back into his senses because something really dangerous has broken loose. Jin-woo seems to realize why the statue's eyes have lit up, so he grabs Ju-hee and screams at everyone to drop down. The other hunters are confused at first, but soon enough, the giant statue monster unleashes its laser beams on the team. It's an extremely powerful blow that Jin-woo somehow manages to dodge and also protects Ju-hee while he's at it. The laser blast causes a lot of destruction, but when the statue monster stops, we can see that Kim and Park are still alive and well. However, this is not the case with all of the hunters, as a girl screams upon seeing the charred remains of a person's hand. Kim confesses that he wouldn't have been able to dodge the attack had it not been for our hero's warning. As a matter of fact, the whole team could have met its end if Jin-woo didn't tell them to duck. Jin-woo and Ju-hee are also shown to be okay, but the healer girl is trembling with fear. Things aren't looking good, so Song tells the team to stay right where they are for now, because they will get blasted at again if they stand up. Nobody wants to take that risk again, so everyone stays down just as Song asks them to. The leader then tells Jin-woo that the reason why Ju-hee goes on simple quests, even though she is a B-rank healer, is because she can't handle scary scenes like this one. This dungeon is not going to be an easy walk in the park, but Song does notice that only the people who had listened to Jin-woo's advice were the ones who survived the laser blast. Jin-woo only nods along to what Song says, and this disappoints him because he thought our hero knew something which led him to warn the others to dodge the laser blast. Our hero says that he could only sense danger, which was why he shouted instinctively. Things get even worse when Jin-woo notices that Song has lost his arm. He is told not to worry about it for now because Song only wants to stop the bleeding. As Jin-woo takes care of the wound, Song asks him about the statue monster and what rank it may be. Our hero has no idea about such a thing because he has never been on a raid that's higher than D rank. Song says that he's experienced a couple of B rank raids before, but these statues are way above that. This is because there were no magic beasts in the B-rank dungeons that could instantly take the life of a hunter. This leads Song to conclude that the giant statue may be a rank or worse, even his rank. It's time to think fast, so Song remembers the rules of the commandments he had translated earlier. The first rule was to worship God, the second was to praise God, and the third was to prove one's faith towards God. From what Song can recall, if anyone did not follow these rules, then they would meet their end. That's when Jin-woo figures that the god in these commandments may be the very statue which is attacking everyone. The monster continues to look scary, so Song feels that at this rate, it will only be a matter of time before the whole party is going to get annihilated. Now, it's time to learn a few rules about this world. So we are told about gates, which are known to connect Earth to the other dimension by acting as portals. These gates had first opened around 10 years ago, and since then, a lot of odd things have happened. One of the best examples of this is the awakening of hunters. These beings have permanent powers that stay with them all the way. Jin-woo is also an awakened being, but his powers are way too weak for him to even consider moving beyond E rank. He may be slightly stronger than the average person, but he is surely weaker than any other hunter in the world. Hunters are supposed to pass through gates into dungeons, so that they can fight these magic beasts for a living. However, there will be times when beyond these gates, they will come across monsters that are way too terrifying to handle. By this, Jin-woo is referring to the giant statue monster that leers upon him, and we can see Song by his side, but his arm is still bleeding. Our hero asks him if he is going to be okay, but Song really doesn't have a choice at this point. He had thought that his team would clear this dungeon with ease, which is why he had only brought 3 healers with him. However, one of these healers seems to have lost their life due to the laser blast. The other healer is hiding in a corner begging for his life, so he is as good as useless. And then there's Ju-hee, who anyway has a hard time with difficult situations, so it doesn't look like he's going to get any healing done right now. The team has to think smart, because they are no match for this monster. Song tells Jin-woo that once things settle down, they should try to figure a way out of this mess, but it's not going to be easy. The other hunters from the party have no idea what to do now, and they can't understand why they have an S-rank monster in a D-rank dungeon. Jin-woo puts his brain to work and considers the fact that the statue monster will blast them if they try to make a move. However, even if they do get lucky and reach the exit, there is another statue guard waiting there for them. Basically, these beasts have no intentions of letting the party escape at all. Suddenly, one of the hunters loses his cool and says that he refuses to go out like this. He has just signed a deal with a major guild, so he can't let it all end here. The hunter tries to activate his powers, but Song tells him not to make a move. The hunter doesn't listen to him and starts to bulk up in preparation for a battle. He feels that he can be faster than his opponent, no matter who he may be up against, and then he charges at the door, hoping to be able to break through it. An intense sequence follows as the runner boy dashes towards the door and is about to reach where the earlier hunter had lost his life. However, the giant monster awakens his lasers, and this causes both Song and Jin-woo to panic. As expected, the monster's laser blast is much faster than the runner boy, and the attack incinerates his entire body, apart from his feet. It's a devastating sight as the feet drop down to the floor, and it causes one of the hunter girls to scream out of fear. This is not an ideal situation for the hunters, so they don't even know what to say to each other. Jin-woo simply smacks the floor and laments the fact that these monsters could end the entire party at any given moment if they wanted to. Song also adds that it would be easier than squashing a bug for these statue beasts. But this leads our hero to ask a very important question. If these monsters can end everyone right here and now, then why haven't they done this already? Song agrees with him because these monsters are not like the other beasts that blindly attack a hunter once they set their sights on them. There's a guard that only attacks when you approach the door, and a god-level statue that blasts lasers at you if you move. This leads Jin-woo to conclude that their attacks are based on a set of rules. That's when it hits him that just like the commandments, even this room could have certain rules. That's when he looks at the statue holding the inscriptions of the commandments and realizes the real deal of this place. He asks Song what the first rule was, but it confuses him. Anyway, there's nothing more to lose, so he tells Jin-woo that it's stated for one to worship God. This causes our hero to turn to the giant statue, and he immediately connects it to the term God. He tells Song that this dungeon has rules, and then he proceeds to make a move. Song obviously tries to stop him because this could mean an instant end for our hero. He calls Jin-woo crazy, but it looks like he is finally on to something, and he wants to test out his theory. Song suddenly notices that there is a very serious look on Jin-woo's face, so he comments that his eyes haven't given up on the situation just yet. As our hero slowly approaches the giant statue, he declares that it does not attack all moving beings. What remains to be seen, though, is how much of his theory is actually correct. As he comes closer to the giant statue, we can see its eyes lighting up, which does not spell good news for anyone. It's at this very moment that Jin-woo immediately bows down, and then the monster surprisingly calms down. This is when he explains to us that the beast does not shoot lasers if you are below a certain height. Basically, this is what the first rule meant by worshipping the god. Now that he is clear in his head, Jin-woo tells all the other hunters to bow down to the monster statue. Kim and Park think that he has gone mad because they don't think that bowing down to their enemy is going to help. However, Song realizes that Jin-woo has figured something out, so it could be worth a shot. Our hero proceeds to explain that the beast will only attack you if you stand above a certain height. If they follow the rule of worshipping the god, then there is no danger for them. This is of course a massive risk, so Song hopes that Jin-woo isn't suggesting this because of a hunch. He confirms that he's thought it out, so Song plays along since they don't have much of a choice. Now, all the hunters bow down to the statue of God, and things seem relatively calm. Kim and Park even wonder if they will be able to make it out of this alive after all. Bowing down to a statue isn't exactly a survival mode skill, but it's all that they can hope for now. Joo-hee can be seen trembling, but even she is able to listen to the plan, and we can see the giant statue calming down. There's a long pause, and after that, the giant statue shows a rather creepy smile. Not just that, its eyes also turn demonic, and we get an extremely spooky face now looking down on the hunters. It's very unsettling, so Park flinches a bit, but remains on the ground while Jin-woo notices that something different has finally happened. It's too early to say anything as of now, so the hunters maintain their positions while the demonic statue continues to smile at them. Of course, Jin-woo gets a bit restless because he has no idea on how many hunters have passed away and how many of them have survived. On top of that, there is no guarantee on how much longer everyone has to maintain this position, so the battle is not over. Park feels that the statue has stopped its attacks, but Kim tells him not to take it too easy because the beast can do as it pleases. However, Park still stands up and says that the statue is not doing anything even after he stopped bowing. He declares that the attacks are all over, and this causes all the other hunters to also celebrate their apparent survival. Everyone gets up now because they feel that the worst is finally over, but Jin-woo knows that is not the case just yet. Suddenly, the whole room starts to shake almost like an earthquake, and we see the statue slowly getting up from its seated position. The hunters have the look of fear in their eyes once again as they see the giant statue now standing on its feet and towering over them. As they look at the monster, the hunters pray to God that they don't have to fight it. With no clue on what's happening, Song turns to Jin-woo again and asks him if he has any other bright ideas up his sleeve. He says that even if he is asked this question, he doesn't know what to say, which means that the team is officially out of ideas. The statue monster raises its foot and stomps the ground, which causes another mini earthquake to cause panic amongst the hunters. It's very easy for them to lose their focus and do something reckless, so Jin-woo tells them that the dungeon has a certain set of rules. The first one was to worship God, and the second one is to praise God, so the key to survival lies in this rule. The word praise seems to confuse everyone in the room, because it could mean a lot of things such as singing hymns. One of the hunters reveals that he is a church boy, so he knows a thing or two about choir singing. All eyes are on him now as he takes a stand and begins with his choir for the statue monster. He continues to sing his lines even as the beast approaches him with a shady look on his face. Tensions run high as even Jin-woo doesn't know how this is going to end for them. But the church boy doesn't give up. Kim asks if this method is working, so Park says that the beast does look like it's slowing down. However, Jin-woo realizes that something is off, and that's when he realizes that the church boy is not praising the statue monster, but rather a different god. The church boy gave it his best shot, but it wasn't enough as the statue monster smashes him flat by stepping on him. This comes as a huge shock to the hunters, so panic ensues once again, and they try to run away from the statue monster. A horrific sequence follows as some of the hunters begin to lose hope, especially one girl who simply accepts her fate and allows the beast to end her by stepping on her as well. Things are not looking good, and from the way it's going, Song suggests splitting up for now rather than being in groups. Jin-woo agrees with this strategy, but he can't just leave Joo-hee behind as she won't be able to keep up with the statue monster. As he tries to run away from the beast, Park thinks back to what his wife had told him about quitting as a hunter and looking for a normal job instead. However, he chose to continue with this because they have a second child coming and he needs the money. Of course, this decision has backfired on him, and he doesn't wish to be taken away before he sees his child. He reaches a spot and thinks that he's in the safe zone now, but Kim calls out to him and says that he needs to look behind him. It's too late though, as the guard statue shows up from behind and slashes Park in half before he can even realize what's happened. It's just one hunter after another being ended. and the only thing that Jin Woo can think about is the rule of praising the god. However, from the looks of it, there's no way you can praise such an entity because it is like the devil himself. There's no way out for the hunters because behind them is the statue monster, and in front of them are the statue guards. If anyone goes near these guards, they get slashed away, as can be seen when two more hunters meet their end for panicking and forgetting the rules. These statue guards are armed with axes, spears, swords, hammers, iron maces, bows, and all sorts of weapons. We see another hunter losing his arm, and Jin Woo laments how they can't go near or even run away from these beasts. That's when he notices an instrument trumpet on one of the statues, and he wonders if they can attack with such an item as well. Since the statue guards have a set flow of actions, if anyone goes near them, then the same must apply to the ones holding instruments as well. This is the only idea that Jin Woo can think of, so he asks all the other hunters to run towards the instrument statues. Song makes it first to the target spot, and the statue starts playing a tune, much to his surprise. This is when everyone realizes that the statues holding instruments will not attack them, so the surviving hunters need to hide next to these figures. Everyone follows this protocol, and we can see that the statues now start playing their instruments with sweet melodies. Kim finds his way towards a statue that plays a violin, but he is deeply saddened by what he has seen so far, especially the end of his friend Park. He abuses the statue monsters for doing such an evil thing, and then we move to Jin Woo and Ju Hee as they rush towards another safe spot. However, the statue doesn't play its instrument, which means that they are still not secure. Jin Woo wonders what the issue could be, and that's when he figures that it might be because both he and Ju Hee are standing next to it. Our hero needs to act fast, so he leaves Ju Hee next to the statue and rushes towards another one to distract the statue monster. A tense sequence follows as Jin Woo tries to make it to safety, even though the beast is hot on his tracks. He's only a bit further away from his target, but then the statue monster stomps its foot on the ground and causes some damage. Our hero is able to dodge it and makes his way to the target statue, but then Song screams that he's heading towards the wrong figure. That's when Jin Woo realizes that the statue he wanted to hide next to is not holding an instrument, but rather a shield, which makes it a statue guard. It attacks our hero with its shield, but he is just about able to dodge the attack. Despite this, the aftershock of these attacks seem to hurt him bad, and he is now crawling for his life while also bleeding. Ju Hee calls out to him in vain as our hero tries his best to find an instrument, but the statue monster closes in on him with the same freaky smile. Jin Woo calls out to God, if there actually is one, and thinks back to how he has constantly been playing a tug of war with life and death. From all his experiences so far, he has been able to survive, but he wonders if all of that will end today as his own life is hanging by a thread. Luckily for him, he is able to come within range of a singing statue, and she begins chanting a sweet melody that stops the statue monster from his destructive spree. It's an extended sequence that offers some relief, but there is too much damage to ignore. Ju Hee now rushes towards Jin Woo and asks if he is fine, but he surely doesn't look like it. He says that he's all right, but Ju Hee is absolutely shocked when she notices something horrible. Our hero doesn't know what's gotten her like this, but then he takes a look at his leg and sees that it's gone. Ju Hee tries her best to heal our hero's leg, but it doesn't look like it's in any state to grow back completely. Jin Woo tells her that she's done enough, but she continues to use her power, and this causes some blood to spill out of her nose. The other hunters worry about our hero, but at least he is still alive. Now, Kim comments that the team started out as 17 hunters and has now been reduced to only 6. Out of these people, there's Song and Jin Woo who have sustained heavy injuries as well. Kim then puts the blame on Song because he was the one who had made everyone enter the double dungeon without asking for the association's approval. Song agrees with what Kim is saying, but the danger isn't over just yet because the statue monster starts doing something else. The team worries that they'll have to fight back again, but it looks like the beast is summoning some kind of stone. The statue monster raises its hand and another earthquake begins. But then a huge pile of stone rises from the ground and is made to look like some kind of platform. Kim wants to know what's going on, but Jin-woo already knows that it's an altar. It's exactly like the one that's used in myths when sacrifices are made to the gods. This makes sense because the last commandment rule states that one must prove their faith to the god. After all the trauma and tension, the hunters have finally come to their final hurdle, but Kim already has a plan in mind. Since one of the team members has to be sacrificed, Kim summons his sword and points it right at Song. After all, he was the one who is the cause of this mess, especially the loss of Park. Since Song had promised to bear the responsibility of his actions, Kim wants him to prove those words by stepping onto the altar and giving himself up. Jin-woo doesn't want this to happen, so he tries to stop Kim, but he tells our hero to stay out of this. On top of that, even Song says that he needs to keep his promise, so he walks to the altar out of his own free will. Jin-woo states that it isn't completely Song's fault because everyone had taken a vote on it. However, his wounds are too deep, so he can't do much. Our hero feels it's wrong to force Song to take all the blame, but he goes ahead anyway and is ready to give up his life for the others. However, a fireball pops up behind him, and he gets confused as to what's going on. Even Jin-woo doesn't get this, so he decides to go to the altar and see it for himself. He can't walk, so he is carried there by 2 other hunters, and then 3 more fireballs appear. Jin-woo asks Song if reinforcements will arrive if they wait here long enough. However, he says that it's been a week since this gate opened, and they left it unattended for so long because it was supposed to be D rank. Now we learn that a gate needs to be closed within 7 days, otherwise it will allow monsters from the other dimension to pass through it. Jin-woo realizes that if he doesn't act fast, then the statue monster may unleash itself upon the real world and cause a lot of problems. He then calls out to Joo-hee and Kim because all of the hunters need to be present on the altar. They do as he asks of them, and then all the fireballs are in place. Soon enough, some blue fireballs also appear, and then blue energy zaps from the altars to the guard soldiers. The statue monster then raises his hand and the doors instantly open up, much to the shock and surprise of all the hunters. They wonder if they are allowed to leave now, but there's always the fear of something adverse happening. Now one of the blue flames fizzles out, and the guard statues start moving towards the altar with blue energy all over their bodies. This does not look good for the hunters, because it looks like the guard statues are coming to attack them. Jin-woo looks around for a bit, and he realizes that the guard statues are only moving forward if they stop looking at them. Joo-hee has shut her eyes, so our hero explains this to her, and then everyone braces for impact. The blue flames continue to fizzle, so one of the hunter girls loses her sense of calm and makes a run for it, much to our hero's dismay. However, she is able to make it past the statue guards and even escapes through the open doors, although they slightly close as she does this. One of the red fireballs also vanishes, so everyone is confused. Even Jin-woo wants to know how this works, so he puts his mind on overdrive. He figures that the blue flames go out over a period of time, and the red flames go out when each person leaves the room. This means that the commandment rules are not your typical riddles. When it says to prove one's fate, this means that the statue monster wants to see how many people stay back, even when temptation is right in front of them. Since the doors will close little by little with each person, there will be one hunter who has to sacrifice their life, as the gates will completely close when the others leave. The other hunters don't want to take such a risk, as can be seen by a bulky boy who says he can't take this anymore. He pushes Jin-woo aside and makes a run for it, after which he also escapes the room. The doors slightly close again, so our hero urges the others to stand their ground. Otherwise, they will be left with a blind spot. Song wants to know what's going on, so Jin-woo explains that they just need to stare at the guard statues and wait till all the blue flames go out. If they do that, then they will be saved, but only if they keep looking at all the guard statues. Kim gets what our hero is saying, but he is not sure if he should trust him on this. The doors may actually close for good, even if they listen to his advice, and this means that Kim is going to betray Jinwoo. Of course, he never imagined that the weakest hunter in the world would play such an active role in this raid. And it's only because of our hero that these 6 people are still alive. Kim thanks Jinwoo for his efforts, but also states that he has a family, and he doesn't want to bid them farewell just yet. With that, Kim runs away and Jinwoo tries his best to stop him, but it's of no use. The thanks that Kim gave is of no use because his actions will now lead to Jinwoo, Joo-hee, and Song all losing their lives. Our hero can't believe this, as he sinks to the ground and contemplates what's about to happen next. The doors are closing fast, and Song seems to have understood what the rules are like over here. So he asks Jinwoo and Joo-hee to leave right now. Our hero can't believe what he's saying, but Song says that the doors will still stay open if one of them stays back. Since Jinwoo and Joo-hee are both much younger than him, it is only fair for him to make the sacrifice. He then tells Joo-hee to give Jinwoo a hand, but she is unable to do so because her body seems to have frozen up. She continues to tremble no matter how much she tries to move her body, and this becomes a problem for her because she won't be able to help out our hero. The others ask her what's happening, so she explains that her legs just won't move. This is very confusing, but then Song realizes that she might be low on mana due to all the healing magic she used on Jinwoo earlier. Time is running out, so everyone needs to act fast, and Jinwoo decides to make the ultimate play. He tells Song to take Joo-hee and leave as soon as he can, but Song doesn't want to leave the kids behind. He insists on staying behind, but our hero says that no one will be able to help Joo-hee if he does this. There's no time to argue, so Song needs to carry the healer girl and get her out of here right now. Song has a heavy heart, but he knows this is the only way out. Joo-hee tells Jinwoo that she will be the one to stay behind, but then he says that he still has to treat her to a meal. He then gives Joo-hee the essence crystal he earned earlier in the dungeon and tells her to treat herself. Jinwoo even promises to come back for the change if he makes it out of this one alive. Joo-hee gets emotional and scolds Jinwoo for joking like this, but Song knocks her out and carries her on his back, because there really isn't any time to waste on talks such as this. With that, Song and Jinwoo bid farewell to each other, and the leader walks away with the healer girl. Our hero keeps breathing and makes sure he hears the doors closing after Song and Joo-hee make their exit. He is finally relieved that the only other person to give up his life now is him. Jinwoo jokes that if he knew such a thing was going to happen, then he would have signed up for some insurance. Anyway, the guard statues close in on him, so he figures he might as well go down fighting. He picks up the sword that Kim had dropped when he ran away and points it at the guard statues. Now we are back to the scene we first saw in the story, which means we have come full circle now to the present. Jinwoo is out of breath, so he dares the beasts to come at him, and that's exactly what they do. Our hero is brutally stabbed through the chest, and a gruesome scene follows. There's no way he's going to survive this as he lies on the altar, bleeding out. He coughs and says that he does not want to be ended, because he never wished to be a part of this in the first place. Jinwoo now thinks back to when Kim betrayed him and ran away, which makes him the most agitated. After all, Kim had just used him to get out of here, and his excuse of having a family is total nonsense, because even Jinwoo has a family of his own. Then our hero says that he is not at all relieved about being the only one left to pass away, because that would just make him a hypocrite. He still wants to live, but it seems to be a tad too late for that now. He does not want this to be the way it ends for him, and he begs for one last chance at life to be able to undo all the wrongs that have been done to him. The guard statue now raises its sword and prepares to launch a finisher move. As it executes the move, a surge of energy seems to take over the place, and just as Jinwoo is about to be struck, he sees a pop-up screen in front of him with a very odd message. A voice also shows up and says that he has met all of the requirements needed to complete a secret quest known as the Courage of the Weak. Our hero has no idea what this means. But then the entire screen begins to change its visuals, and Jin Woo can see the beasts also glitching before his very eyes. There are so many questions in Jin Woo's head, because he clearly had no clue about a secret quest. He also doesn't know where this odd voice is coming from, even as it appears once again to say that he has now qualified to become a player. The screen asks him if he wishes to accept this, but Jin Woo is totally clueless. As far as he knows, he is about to meet his end, so none of these questions make any sense to him at all. The voice tells him that he does not have much time left, and if he declines this offer, then his heart will stop beating in the fraction of a second. This gives our hero some context, because it could be that if he accepts this, then he can still remain alive. Now, Jin Woo musters up all the power he has in his current state, and he tells the voice to go ahead and make him a player. The pop-up screen suddenly changes and tells him that he is now officially a player. This is all it takes for a massive spark to awaken within our hero's body, and then a surge of light takes over the entire room. Even the statue monster is shocked to see this, as the light seems to even overpower him. The light becomes too powerful for the monsters to take, and it looks like they get obliterated in the process. After this entire commotion, Jin Woo wakes up all of a sudden, and we can see him in a hospital bed. He starts gasping for air because the last thing he remembers is what happened back at the double dungeon room. He then holds on to his chest, but we don't see any wounds on it either. Jin Woo has a hard time coming to terms with what just happened, so he wonders if it was all a dream. He looks out of the window and realizes that he is actually inside a hospital, and then we see a couple of men in black suits entering the room. They ask our hero if he is finally back to his senses, but he wants to know who these men are. They say sorry for startling him, and reveal that they are actually from the Hunter surveillance team. These people are serious folk, so Jin Woo doesn't understand what they have to do with him. This is when he learns that he has been asleep for a total of 3 whole days. He then asks about Ju-hee and Song, so the agents tell him that both of them are safe, but neither of them is likely to continue as a hunter. Song doesn't have an arm, and the healer girl is too affected by the incident, so she needs to be away from such scenes. They also mention Kim, but our hero has no interest in learning about a traitor. Now that the small talk is done with, the agents reveal that they sent their White Tiger Guild to the double dungeon gate after the survivors told them what had happened. However, when they reached the scene, there was no trace of any of the bodies, the statue guards, or even the statue monster. The only person there was Jin Woo, who was lying unconscious with his leg and chest unharmed. What exactly is going on over here? Is the weakest boy in the world now set to become the most overpowered SS rank hunter? Like, share, and subscribe if you like this video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 2. See you soon.